So when people get into situations where they're finding themselves in a sort of relationship with an emotion and with some set of, it's a set of repetitive engagement with the same type of thing over and over and over. And it's like, unless you can free yourself from that somehow, but it's like, that's all the ego. That's all that it is egotistical mechanisms in the fucking, that's what you're locking into when you start having those types of interactions on a regular basis, cyclically. It's like, it's something that it continually occurs. It's something that, it's not like it's just a one-time thing. Like, now it's a pattern. And it's like, you have to take a look at yourself and your role in that. If this is something where it's continually happening, you have a main, and if not sole, role to play as far as the responsibility of why that continues to happen. And the worst thing you could do is perpetuate it. And so it's like, how do we not perpetuate it? How do you not continue this cyclical, these cyclical occurrences to go on in the same way that they were? Well, it's like, you're the one that's making them continue to happen. And it's like, so you're not changing. If you continue to run across something that you have some sort of disdain for, don't want to be engaging in, but it keeps cropping up, and it's like, well, maybe you actually don't know what you want. First of all, maybe you don't actually know what you want. Maybe you don't know yourself as well as you might. Because if you're bringing yourself towards a point that you don't want to be at, maybe you don't actually know what you want. But there also comes a point where it's like, you get to decide what it is that you want. You get to decide what it is that puts you in a place that you want to be in. And it's like, there's something, you got to excavate down to the real aspects of your intent too. Like, a lot of the times the layers of truth that are sitting on the surface are not going to be are not going to be the things that are actually moving the events in your life and attracting things towards you. Like, every situation has layers of reality. You got the surface level, you got what's below that, and you got what's below that, these levels of truth and what's actually motivating you. And on the personal level, you can fool yourself into thinking you want one thing when it's actually something else. People go their whole lives trying to bring conflict to themselves, and they tell themselves every day lies about what they actually want, and they're confused. And it's because they don't actually understand the things that are going on. Though a lot of times those are people who are creating some sort of facade that separates the surface level truths, lies, actually. And it's like, truths have different levels and layers to them. And it's like, they can contradict each other. A truth can be contradictory to a deeper truth. And so it's like, you might want peace in your day, but at the same time, you might actually want to destroy yourself as a person, because that's what's running you behind the scenes, under the fucking hood. That's your engine. But you're telling yourself on a daily basis that you don't like it, or you don't want it to happen, but you continually find conflict in your life because that's what's actually driving you. So you got to realize what's actually driving you in your life. And to do that, all you have to do is look at your life and look at your past and look at your history and what continues to come up. Don't ask your conscious mind this question. Here's the thing. Don't ask your conscious mind this question, because it will betray you unless you know yourself fully. And that's not an easy thing to do. That takes years to do, and it comes and goes. Right? So the way to really educate and analyze what we are about as people is to look at our behavior. Look at the way people behave, and it will tell you what they actually are about and what drives them. What people do and what people say are often at odds. So you just ignore even what you say, ignore what you think. Go back in your life, write down for the last year, like the major events that have happened to you, and that'll tell you what's behind the scenes as far as what's driving you. And then as you move through the next couple of days of your life, or even ask yourself now before you go and look into your past and analyze that. Ask yourself now what you want, And if it's contradictory to what happens in your life, then you have a set of lies and a set of truths that you have proof of what actually you are all about, and you have an idea of what you tell yourself instead of that actual reality that you might not be aware of. So the lack of awareness is really what's gonna get you in those cases, because now you're gonna get surprised. But it shouldn't be a surprise, because it will continue to repeat itself if the perpetuation of the same mechanisms is still in place. So it's like you have to have these discussions with yourself to figure it out, because like I said, man, people don't know themselves. People don't know what they're about and what they want. People spin in circles for a fucking lifetime. A lot of people spin in circles for a lifetime, and they don't know why. And all it takes is that you got to take a look at yourself, figure out what you're all about. And that's the calibration, man. That's the point of calibration, where it's like that. I mean, that is life too. Like you're going one way, you're living in this direction. You have these sort of things that you think you're about, and then you check in with yourself, and you see, and you look at yourself, and you analyze yourself, and then you calibrate that shit, and then you go and you start to fix it. So it's like don't even worry at that point. Don't even worry about what you've been about. You've got to figure it out, and then take responsibility for the future. Like now that you know, I mean, try to figure out like where are the places that you hide your real intentions? Do you hide it behind a lie? Do you hide it behind addiction? Do you hide it behind being a workaholic? Do you hide it behind having a big social life and always running around and doing stuff and never having any time to do anything? Because it's like the layers are what are going to get you, because you can lie to yourself if there's layers, but if you don't know what you really want, you're never going to be aware of yourself, and you might be your own worst enemy in that situation. And if you're your own worst enemy, it's your own job to fix that. Nobody's coming along to fix that problem. Look, man, I mean, the sooner people figure this out in their life, the better. The sooner people figure this out in their life, the better. I don't know. A lot of people never figure that shit out, and it's a detriment. It's a detriment to society, really. I mean, whole cultures will have this happen. Whole cultures rely to themselves, but it's like, look at what you do. Look at what someone does, not what they say. And if someone says they're all about getting along with people, and someone says they're all about building love and building trust in the community, but then when you look at what they do, all they're just talking shit behind people's backs. They're making problems. They don't have any real good friends. Well, it's like that person, maybe they don't even know themselves, or maybe they're just a liar, and maybe that person is you. And it's like I guess maybe some people just don't have the ability to take those fucking looks under the hood. I would think most people would, once getting exposed to that information, have the ability to do it, but the awareness certainly is not there on a widespread basis. So I don't know. People get stuck, man. And if you feel stuck, you can figure out why, and it's your fault.